Check one, two, three. Hey everybody, it's Michael Helms, also known as Michael the Sound Guy, and this is the Location Sound Podcast. You know, each episode we talk with location sound mixers, boom ops, and other industry pros about the various aspects of recording sound on location, whether it's for feature and independent films, TV commercials, interviews, any time where dialogue from actors is recorded. I started my career in the recording studios in New York City with some of the big artists back in the day, and later on projects for networks like HBO, Sci-Fi Channel, and the Cartoon Network. As time went by, I got out of the studio and began working in production sound. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or just starting out, thanks for joining us. My guest today is a production sound mixer, sound editor, and sound designer based out of New York City. Please welcome Antoinette Tomlinson.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Now, Antoinette, when you are working as a production sound mixer, what's in your audio kit? So just give us a rundown of your mixer, recorder, preferred mics, and everything in between.
So let's start with the recorder/mixer. I have a Sound Devices 633. I have some Lectrosonics SRbs, SMQVs for transmitters. I also have a Sennheiser G4 that I use as a hop, as well as just an LR and an LMB for hops as well. I have some Comtecs for IFBs. For lavs, I have Sanken COS-11ds. I also have two DBAs, the 660s, which I absolutely love. For shotguns, I have the Schoeps CMIT 5U. I also have Sennheiser 416. I also have the Schoeps MK41 as well.
What kind of timecode do you like to use?
So right now I'm loving the little tentacles. They're so small and nifty, and camera operators love it because they're just so small and they just sit there. So I'm liking it right now.
What kind of bag do you put all this in?
So I used to have an Orca, but now I switched over to the Comtek bag Junior.
Okay. Why'd you switch?
So I had an injury not too long ago where I started developing foraminal stenosis, and my neck was also starting to stretch outward. And they were saying that whatever I'm doing is just too much weight on my body. And I realized maybe the bag that I had was too big, and obviously putting all the equipment in it was just weighing down on my body too much. So I saw that Comtek had the junior bag as well as the junior harness, and I realized that that was better for my frame. So I switched, and it's been lighter. I like it because it's actually still sturdy. It could take a punch, and it fits everything in there just snug and neatly. I like it a lot, actually.
All right. Well, what kind of batteries do you use? What kind of power distro?
So for batteries, I have the lithium ion DP NP L7Ss, and that is powered by the PSC PowerStar Mini Triple Play.
All right. Well, let's jump in and talk a little bit about some of the projects you've worked on. You had mentioned in your bio that you sent me that you worked on the Dan Patrick Show. So tell us about that experience.
Okay, so the Dan Patrick Show is actually pretty interesting. He's a very hip guy, very funny, hums a song. I can't figure out what song it was, and he wouldn't tell me, but he hummed a song all day long in my ear. It was pretty fast paced, a little bit different from commercial life that I'm used to, but it was fun.
Was it like a documentary, or what kind of setup was it?
So basically, it was just, they ran it as a run and gun, but it was really like a commercial type of shoot to introduce the Final Four and them coming onto a different platform. Because I believe they were moving from the platform that they were on as of recently to a whole new online platform. So they were trying to introduce that. So we were in a basketball court, and they were playing basketball, showing him coming in, cheerleaders, crowd, the whole 9 yards. and they were just introducing the final four.
Now, how did you have him mic'd up?
So normal lavalier just for one scene, which is where they were had a script, basically talking about their new dates and times of the show. But past that, I didn't have to have him mic up. Everything was just straight boom.
So that overall was a good experience, and you just listened to him hum in your ear all day.
Yeah, it was fun. It was energetic, and it was funny. He's a very funny guy, so it was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Are there any particular miking techniques when you're wiring up talent that you like to use?
I like to, what I feel like I cheat. I love the vampire clips. They're so easy to put on and you get a great sound from them, and talent seems to like it because it's not as much work. You don't have to use adhesive tapes on them. So those are actually my favorite as of right now. I also like the sandwich.
What adhesives do you use for that?
Normal moleskin. Anything from the drugstore, from CVS. I like those brands a little bit better than buying them from like the Gotham Sounds brands. I think it's a little bit thicker, so I like those ones.
Now, you also had mentioned in your bio that you've done some projects with Netflix. So tell us about that.
So that one doesn't have a title at the moment. It's just called Untitled Goop Project. That was pretty interesting because I'm not even sure if I could actually say this and it be appropriate, I guess, because the content was us filming a woman having an orgasm.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if that's actually like proper content for your podcast.
That's fine. You got to record the sound.
Yeah. So recorded this woman having an orgasm, and I forget her name, but she basically, teaches women how to have pleasure when it comes to sex, and not just giving pleasure, but making sure that she has pleasure the entire time. And also self-pleasure when your mate or whoever is not around. Can you self-please yourself? Do you know your body really well? So we filmed that interview, and then we filmed the orgasm from start to finish.
That's an interesting project.
Yeah. It was interesting because we had like about 3 or 4 cameras in there because they were trying to get different angles. They weren't sure exactly what Netflix was going to allow and just how far they could go with it.
So how did you mic up all that?
Just simple lavs. And then I had my boom placed above the woman because as she was laying down on a table, I had my boom just placed over her like interview style, and basically had the 2 talents mic'd up with lavs, normal sandwich style.
All right. So what was the most interesting project you've done so far then?
I would say like interesting as in fun would be the Lego show I'm working on right now called Ridiculous. That show is definitely fun. It's a produced YouTube show, but it's a lot of fun. I learned so much about Lego that I didn't know you could do. So many things you can make with Lego that I never knew was even possible. So it's been fun.
Well, what's the miking setup on that?
So once again, just normal lavaliers, and then I boom the entire time. Like we just recently did water games. So with that, obviously I couldn't mic them with lavaliers. So I boomed inside the water. I had an A2. And we had a DPA microphone that was actually able to go underneath the water to capture underwater sounds because they were trying to talk under the water. Yeah, so that was pretty fun and scary at the same time.
A fun challenge.
It was. I was more scared, though, of the boom going down with me because I wasn't prepared for how heavy the boom was going to be, and especially in the water trying to float. So that was pretty interesting. Adrenaline was definitely high that day.
So it was deep enough that you had to float and hold the boom?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that'd be a challenge for anybody.
Yeah, because we had to catch them diving into the water and then swimming into the middle of the pool to do the challenge. So I had to capture them diving and then I had to get myself in the water to go boom them in the middle of the pool. But I also had some goosenecks around the pool to catch ambient sound, so that was pretty neat.
And you were using your 633 with this?
I was using a mixed pre 10T, actually. Yeah, that recorder definitely came through for me. because I had so many microphones and it could record up to 10 channels. So it definitely handled the project very well for me. And I was actually very impressed.
Okay. Yeah, we're actually recording this podcast with a Mix Pre 10T right now.
Hey, I love that little thing. It's so nifty. I love it. I carry that as my backup now.
Yeah, they work great. I haven't had any problems whatsoever with it. It gets you in, especially on smaller projects, works excellent. So, okay, you started Invictus Sound Factory. So tell us about that. That's your sound company?
Yes, it is. So basically, Invictus does audio post-production as well as production sound. And I have a couple of people working with me on my audio post team. We do sound for animation. We are now getting into short films and documentaries with dialogue editing, sound design, Foley, things of that nature.
Now, do you have a space for that, a physical space?
So I am looking to transfer into a space. As of right now, everyone is basically working remotely, but still in the city. So we're able to work off hard drives, meet and have like group meetings, things like that.
Now, how has your experience in the industry as a woman, how has that been for you?
It's actually been pretty good. I think the one thing that caught me off guard, but I laughed about it, was when a producer had said to me, honestly, I was kind of nervous about your sound quality because you were so friendly. And I said, really? He was like, yeah, I wasn't sure you were going to be any good, but thank God you are. I was like, wow, okay, thanks. But past that, it's been great. It's been really, really great.
That's good. Yeah, we've been trying to interview more females in the industry because I really want to get their perspective on how it's going and if they've had any kind of issues. And because, we interviewed Jenna Lee Park, and she mentioned sometimes it can be kind of like the bro club, and it can be, but for the most part, she's had a pretty good experience as well.
Yeah, I can't say, knock on wood, it's been a good ride so far. I haven't run into any difficulties. Everyone's been really, really cool. Even when I'm booming or doing utility for other mixers, it's been really, really awesome.
Now, you graduated from Full Sail University?
Yes, I did.
I did too, many years ago.
Nice. Okay. What program?
I did the recording arts program.
Oh, man. So what year were you around?
It was 1992.
So did you graduate with, is it Rick Veers or something?
Rick was, I think, a couple years after me. Yeah, Rick Veers, we're going to have him on the show as well. He wrote the Location Sound Bible. He's got a massive sound effects business, and all his sound effects are on, movies and TV shows, and he's doing fabulous as well. So we also interviewed Fernando Delgado. He's a graduate of Full Sail.
I love him too. Stickman Sound. I got to meet him last year at the LA Full Sail alumni networking that they have. He was so amazing. I would love to go and hang out with him at the Stickman store. The moment I hit Vegas, definitely gonna go see him.
He's a good guy.
The amount of knowledge and technical knowledge that we got to experience at Full Sail is definitely, like, words cannot explain it, because it was amazing. And they really do prepare you. But unfortunately, I was just not, I would want to blame it on young age, but I don't know. I was very fortunate to walk out of school 2 weeks before graduating with a job from CNN, but did not take it because I got another offer to do marketing in Hong Kong for a company. And I was like, oh, I want to go out there. So I told the guy who offered me the job that, hey, I have another opportunity in Hong Kong for 2 months. If it was possible to hold on to that job until I get back, he was like, yeah, but you're probably going to have to reapply, but I'll just forward your application because I already offered it to you. So all I had to do was email him back. But unfortunately, the Hong Kong experience did not go through because my visa, they would not let me hold 2 visas at the time. So yeah, that pretty much sucked. And I was kind of in the dark, like, for a couple of months. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. But I did know that I still wanted to do sound for either television or film. So I started doing production assistant, PA, and started working my way up from there and realized, ooh, I did like location sound when I was doing it at Full Sail. So I started like asking around, one of my DP, who's now a friend, said, "Hey, you went to school for sound? Yeah. You're going to do location sound for me." I said, "I am." He was like, "Yeah." And that's really how I got into this, is because he asked me to.
Now, we always have to ask the question, what was your worst on-set experience? You don't have to use any names.
So I was recording sound for a conference. Totally easy, right? You just set up, hook your mixer up to the soundboard, right? But unfortunately, they were giving me XLR cables that I thought were mic level. They ran it line. And so I couldn't control my levels and it was peaking out of control. And I was like, what is happening? And the producer was seeing that. And so she wasn't very tech savvy. So she started freaking out all of a sudden. I already spoke to the original sound guy who was running the boards upstairs in front of the house. And he was also recording a copy of it. So I knew, okay, I could go to him and try and get the copy, but we still need to figure out what's going on. So he thought it was a faulty cable. Come to find out, we just didn't know that he was running line instead of mic, because he originally told me mic. So we fixed that issue, but she still like had a huge issue with it and was like yelling at me and everything like that. And I was trying to tell her the problem is solved. And there is a backup recording of literally the house recording. So you're totally fine. It's safe. But things got worse from there because I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Tentacles being able to run timecode, but through audio, through an audio channel on a DSLR camera. So I did that and I explained to her how it was going to work. And she was like, "Oh yeah, go ahead, throw them on there." So I did that. At 12 o'clock at night, she calls me saying, "You ruined you ruined the footage. All the audio is destroyed. It has this crazy sound. It's not audible. I'm not going to be able to pay you," all kinds of things. And I was like, "Wait, no, it's not. It only records through one channel. You still have another channel left, which is the camera mic channel." And so the next day I had to sit down with the assistant producer, pull up Audition, and basically show them split the track to left and right, mute out the right channel. The left channel is still left, and that's the actual recording. She listened to it. She was like, "Oh my God, okay, great, thank you." So that was totally fine. But this producer continuously just wanted to hate me the entire time. So she made my life living hell. I helped you fix the problem that you thought you had, but you really didn't have an issue. I just wasn't aware that you weren't that tech savvy to know how to do that. Or I could have walked her through it, but I explained it to her, but she still came after me. So that actually was one of like the worst experiences I've had. Also, when I was first starting out, I did an interview for a really, really known brand. And I used the soft covers, the right coat soft covers, and I was still getting rustle, but I couldn't hear it because we were right underneath the subway. And literally it's like that thing was running nonstop. So that's all I heard the entire time, as well as the workers working on the other side of we were in a building and they were setting up. So the construction workers were still working. So I had all this noise battling against me, right? I couldn't hear it. So I get home and they call me and they say, "Hey, do you hear all this rustle? Can you fix it?" I did start fixing it with RX6, but it still lived on my brain for months because I was so disappointed in myself. Granted, this is like one of the first interviews I've ever done. It lived with me for a really long time.
Have you ever gone to an audio gig and forgotten something?
Yes. I've gone to an audio gig and forgot my blimp. And we were doing an outside shoot. Luckily, though, I had one of those right coat, super softy windshield. So I forgot my blimp, but luckily, I remembered that I had a super softy windshield in my trunk of my car. I ran and got that, and that saved me. But it was a heart attack. It was definitely a heart attack for a good 5 minutes.
Well, if you could go back a few years and give yourself some advice, what would you tell yourself?
I would tell myself to be patient and also just enjoy the process and not be so hard on myself. Because I will say, like the beginning of my career, I was very hard on myself. If I made a mistake, I was beating myself up about it for a while. I was also wondering why I wasn't getting booked as often as like my peers were, but they were my superiors. They've been in sound for like way longer than I have. But I thought that I should be getting booked. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. But it really was, I was just starting out. I was just starting to network. I'm new to the city. No one knows me. So I didn't get the chance to really enjoy the process as it was happening. I would tell myself, enjoy the process. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Okay. Now, if some of our listeners wanted to get into location sound, what would you tell, say, a student that's studying?
First of all, I love Facebook groups. Can I just say that? Because there's so many people out there wanting to collab and make passion projects, short indies, things like that. I would say get on Craigslist, get on Facebook, start joining groups. I think even a lot of schools now have groups for their film departments, and just network and definitely, hop on any short film you possibly can. Find sound mixers in your area, see if you can intern with them or like have them be a mentor, things like that. That's what I did when I came out of school, and I started getting into that. Found a mentor, started doing gigs off of Craigslist and on Facebook groups, and just started building up my network. I also used my school's resources at the time. So if your school has some resources that let you rent out gear, definitely do that. Learn the gear.
All right. Well, Antoinette, as we kind of start to wrap things up, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
I would say the best way to get in touch with me is either Facebook or Instagram. You can follow me at Fig Sound Girl on Instagram or on Facebook. Find me, Antoinette Tomlinson. Say hello.
Fantastic. Well, I want to say thanks to Antoinette Tomlinson for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
And a big thanks to all of our listeners out there. If you'd like us to discuss a particular topic, please send us an email at locationsoundpodcast@gmail.com. We would love for you to subscribe and leave us a comment. We're available on Apple Podcast, and for Android users, check out Google Podcast. Also, we're on Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, and on your favorite podcast app. Until next time, remember, sound is half the picture.